Danny loved building things. Ever since he was a little boy, he found joy in creating and constructing. Whether it was model airplanes, intricate gadgets, or simple crafts, Danny's hands were always busy. He had a knack for turning ordinary materials into extraordinary creations. He wasn't very good at sports. Despite his best efforts, he often found himself tripping over his own feet or missing the ball. But that never bothered Danny much. He knew his strengths lay elsewhere. He was always making something. His room was filled with tools, parts and half-finished projects. To Danny, every day was an opportunity to invent something new and exciting. Usually it was something awesome. His friends and family were always amazed at what he could come up with. From a homemade robot to a solar-powered car, Danny's creations were nothing short of impressive. Shani was Danny's next-door neighbour. She was super competitive. Whether it was a race, a game of basketball or even a simple board game, Shani always played to win. Her determination was unmatched. She always wanted to win. Her room was filled with trophies and medals, each one a testament to her hard work and dedication. Shani's competitive spirit was well known in the neighbourhood. She and Danny were best friends. Despite their different interests, they shared a special bond. They spent countless hours together, playing, laughing and supporting each other. One scorching summer day, Danny and Shani were bored. The sun was blazing and the heat was unbearable. They had already played all their usual games and were looking for something new to do. There was nothing to do. The neighbourhood was unusually quiet, and all their friends were either on vacation or stuck indoors. Danny and Shani sat on the porch, trying to think of a fun activity. "Let's go to the park," said Shani. Her eyes lit up with excitement as she jumped to her feet. Danny, always up for an adventure, quickly agreed. They grabbed their hats and water bottles, ready to make the most of their day. The park was usually a fun place. It had a big playground. Today, it was different. Older kids were hogging everything. These kids were way bigger than Danny and Shani. They weren't letting anyone else play. "This isn't fair!" shouted Danny. The biggest kid laughed. He had red hair and a mean look. "Find somewhere else to play, shrimps," he sneered. Shani got a determined look in her eye. She always had a plan. "Don't worry, Danny," she whispered. She pulled Danny to the side. They huddled behind a big oak tree. "We need to use their size against them," she said. Danny was confused. He didn't understand. Shani explained her plan. It was risky, but it just might work. Section 4. Showtime! Shani stepped out from behind the tree. She took a deep breath, her heart pounding with excitement. This was her moment to shine, and she was ready to give it her all. She started doing silly dances. Her arms flailed wildly, and her feet moved in a chaotic rhythm. She twirled and spun, her laughter echoing through the playground. She made funny faces at the big kids, her eyes crossed, and her tongue stuck out in the most ridiculous manner. She knew she had their attention now. The big kids stopped playing. They stared at Shani, their mouths hanging open in surprise. They had never seen anything like this before. They started laughing at her. Their laughter was loud and contagious, filling the air with a sense of joy and amusement. Shani's plan was working perfectly. This was all part of the plan. Danny sprang into action. He had been waiting for this exact moment, and now it was time to execute their plan. While the big kids were distracted, he ran towards the playground. His movements were quick and stealthy, making sure not to draw any attention to himself. He started untying the shoelaces of the biggest kid. His fingers worked swiftly, and he couldn't help but smile at the thought of what was about to happen next. Section 5. Friends beat Goliaths. The big kid tripped and fell. It was a moment that caught everyone by surprise. The playground, usually filled with laughter and games, suddenly went silent. The big kid, who had been dominating the playground, was now on the ground, looking vulnerable. He landed in a heap. The fall was not just physical, it was a blow to his pride. For a moment he lay there, stunned, as the other kids watched in shock. The other kids were shocked. They stopped laughing. Shani seized the moment. She knew this was her chance to make a difference. With a determined look on her face, she stepped forward. "Being mean isn't cool," she said, her voice clear and confident. The words hung in the air, and for a moment it seemed like time had stopped. The other kids looked at her, their expressions changing from shock to understanding. "Let's all just share the playground," she continued. Her words were simple, but they carried a powerful message. The playground was meant for everyone, and it was time to make it a place where everyone could have fun. The big kid felt embarrassed. He had been so focused on being the biggest and the strongest that he had forgotten what it meant to be kind. Now, faced with Shani's words, he felt a pang of guilt. He realized he was being a bully. The realization hit him hard, and he knew he had to change. He didn't want to be the kid who made others feel bad. He mumbled an apology and moved over. It was a small gesture, but it meant a lot. The other kids saw that he was willing to change, and they welcomed him back into their games. From that day on, everyone shared the playground. It became a place where everyone could play together, regardless of their size or strength. The kids learned to respect each other and to have fun together. Danny and Shani learned that even though they were small, they could still make a big difference. Their actions showed that kindness and courage could change the world, one playground at a time.